Hello there, my single mother tribe. How are you doing? My name is Hope, and I'm your fairy single godmother, and I would like to thank you for joining me for another episode of Check-In Wednesday. Yes, this will be actually week 4, our last and final week of my 4-part series on stress management for single mothers. So I just would like to thank you for joining me so far in the other 3 weeks and videos. And if you haven't tuned in to any of the videos, I strongly encourage you to have some really good discussion there. Okay, so I would just like to thank you for joining me, and if you are here via Hope for Single Mothers YouTube channel, go ahead and do me a favor and click the subscription button, and also go ahead and click the bells. That way, every time I upload new videos, which I do 3 times a week, I upload videos on Sundays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. So don't miss out on these awesome videos that I'm uploading. Like I said, excellent, awesome content. On Sundays, I come to you for Jumpstart Your Week Sunday, and these are just really motivational videos to get you jump started, to get you going, and to really just encourage you and just equip you to jumpstart your week on a great foot, and to get you going for the rest of the week. And then on Wednesday, we check in to just see how we're doing. You know, hump day can be Wednesday for some of us. And so Wednesday is check-in Wednesday, just to check and see how you're doing. These are the videos when I'm discussing, you know, different areas of our lives as far as, you know, emotions, mental capacities, financial and physical. So these videos are geared more so, like I said, to just check in and see how you're doing. We're gauging our emotional tanks, our physical tanks, our mental tanks, our financial tanks, just to see how we're doing. And this is the time and opportunity for you to tweak, to reboot, to reset, whatever it is that you may need to do in order to end your week successfully. Check-in Wednesday is here to provide that for you, okay? And then last but not least is Self-Care Saturdays. Self-Care Saturdays, I really enjoy it because it's really kind of like impromptu. I come to you live, and so basically I just, you know, have you tag along with me, and I do videos on health and beauty care. I do, you know, just random videos if I'm out and about running errands, or I'm here to answer questions. So pretty much Self-Care Saturday is a let your hair down self-care day, where we just talk about us and what we can do to just be a better you, and to just focus on that time to unwind, to de-stress, to you know, to just refresh yourself over the weekend so that you can start your week refreshed and revived and renewed and restored, okay? So I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what I'm here for and the videos that I provide, just in case you're just tuning in for the first time, which I really do appreciate. But I want to let you know that this, you know, here, Hope for Single Mothers is here for you, that we are a tribe and a community of single mothers, all shapes and sizes, all family sizes, and all walks of life. But one thing that we have in common is that we're single mothers. But you don't have to do this thing alone. You don't have to be alone. That's why I'm here. I'm here to provide you with a tribe and a community and resources to just help you to thrive in every area of your life as a single mother, to create a rich, lasting legacy for your children and generations to come, and to help you maximize your greatest potential and to walk into your God-given purpose and destiny. Just because you're a single mother, your life is not over. It's just beginning. So I'm here to help you, to guide you through this journey called single mother life, and to just make sure that you have the best life for yourself and your children, okay? So I kind of just thought, I felt like, you know, I just wanted to let you ladies know that, okay? So anyway, but like I said, if you're joining me via YouTube, go ahead and click that subscription button and that bell as well. And if you're joining me via Hope for Single Mothers Facebook group, hello ladies, hi my tribe. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining me for another episode of Check-In Wednesday. And actually, after this video is over, I will see you later on today at 8 p.m. in our chat room. Yes, so we could continue our discussion on stress management for single mothers. This week, we will be talking about the effects of stress and some techniques to help us reduce and even, you know, alleviate or eliminate stress. Okay, so unfortunately, this is the last week on this subject, but we most definitely in Hope for Single Mothers Facebook group, we continue conversations every day. So if you feel like you have more to share, or if you want, you know, if you have any questions for me to answer, both here and in Facebook group, feel free to comment below. I would love to just get your feedback, to help you out, to answer any questions that you may have concerning this video, okay, and the topics discussed in this video, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to get started. I know, a long introduction, but wanted to get out of the way. Okay, so in week 1, to give you a summary of weeks 1 through 3, in week 1, I basically talked about what stress is. And basically I said that stress is our body's way of responding to a threat or a demand. And so I also talked about the difference between good stress and bad stress. And basically good stress is short term. It's stress usually to motivate us to accomplish a specific or goal or task. And then after that goal or task has been accomplished, whatever, you know, prompted that stress has been resolved or dealt with or accomplished, you know, that stress, it leaves, it goes. It's not a staying type of stress. And also good stress can produce positive and productive outcomes. So basically, for instance, a good stress would be that stress that you may feel prior to you completing a task, that you have a deadline. So that stress, that good stress, would prompt you to, instead of procrastinating, or that pressure that you may feel to get something done because it really needs to get done, that good stress will release those hormones into your body to give you that adrenaline rush, that energy rush to get those things accomplished. And then once they're done, the stress is over, okay? Also, good stress is what happens when our body, like I said, senses danger. So if we're in a situation where we may need to protect ourselves or protect someone else, usually what it's called is fight or flight. So basically, that's a good type of stress to protect us and keep us out of the harm's way, or keep us out of danger or someone else. And then after, you know, that stress, that stressor is gone, then the good stress leaves. Good stress doesn't stay. And so I also talked about what bad stress is. And basically bad stress is that long-term stress. It's that lingering stress that never goes away, basically. It's negative in nature and it's unproductive because it doesn't produce anything good. It's harmful to ourselves and to other people. And like I said, it can cause, over a long period of time, it could cause health issues and just a lot of issues in our lives. So bad stress is what it is. It's bad. There's nothing good about it. Okay. I also talked about different other types of stresses as far as categorizing them, that there's external stress, and basically what external is, it's basically stress that you cannot, it's out of your sphere of control, but it certainly isn't out of, outside of your personal control, that, or your response. That although with external stressors, even though you may not be able to control the stress per se, or the stressor per se, that you can certainly control your response. And I also said that we're never hopeless. We're never in a situation to where we're out of control, that even though we may not be able to control outside forces, we can control us. We can control how we respond. We can control what we do next, and we can control, you know, what's within our realm of control. Okay. And then I also talked about internal stressors, and basically internal stressors are what they, you know, what it is. It's internally. So these are, you know, things that, you know, are self-induced. It could be a result of negative thinking, or it could be a result of, you know, just perception, basically how we perceive ourselves, other people, or situations. And so, that would be an internal type of stress. Is basically our perspective or perception of how we view something, someone, or a situation. And then I also talked about biological or chemical stress. And that's the type of stress that basically it's, you know, due to physical makeup. It's something that may, it pretty much has to do with your makeup, your physical makeup. And then environmental stress is the stress that is caused by pretty much your environment, your atmosphere, location. This could be, people who live in California now, or, certain parts of California are dealing with the forest fires. And so that could be, environmental type of stress. People who live in Tornado Valley experience that, and people who live in the areas that are affected by hurricanes. So natural disasters basically is a type of stress. Is a type of environmental stress. Also, our location, who we surround ourselves with, the environment that we surround ourselves with, that would be considered an environmental stress. Okay, so that was in week 1. I talked about those things. In week 2, I covered the types and causes of stress. And so basically I went into the 3 different types or categories of stress. Acute, which is sudden onset of stress. It's it's the most common type of stress that we deal with. This type of stress, like I said, it's an onset. So this is not a stress that is, lingering. These types of stresses are caused, or the type of acute stress is caused by, the day-to-day demands of life. So basically in traffic, work, relationships, finances, etc. This type of stress, like I said, it's most common, and it's not a chronic type of stress, a long-term type of stress. Acute, like I said, it's like a onset. It's something that you may feel when you are in a situation for the first time, or you may be revisiting a situation. It's not the type of stress that you would feel if you're constantly in a situation. Okay. And the next type of stress would be episodic acute. Now, episodic acute, as I had explained in week 2, is more often and more frequent than the acute type of stress. Basically, this type of stress is characterized by chaos and disorder, or crisis. So if you know someone or know people who seem like something is always going on in their life, they're always in crisis, their life is just chaotic or just disorganized. Episodic acute stress, that's the type of stress that they may be experiencing in those type of situations, okay? And also type A personalities and worry words. And these are the type of people that usually would be found in this category of episodic acute stress, okay? And with episodic acute stress, I mean, it's not healthy, but it's not dangerous or destructive either. The minimum effects on your body, or, it's not as huge as it is with chronic stress, because your body doesn't have enough of time to, usually with episodic, it comes in episodes. It's not a lingering, staying type of stress. It comes and goes, basically, as I'm trying to articulate. And so last, chronic stress, basically, it's chronic. It's long-lasting. This type of stress does not go away. And it's a type of unrelenting, it's a stress of unrelenting demands and pressures of seemingly long periods of time that becomes normal over a course of time, and it's a daily part of a person's life. So basically, with chronic stress is that, someone may be dealing with stress so often and so long that it becomes a part of their personality. It becomes a part of their daily life. It's normal to them, that they've kind of adjusted to the stress and kind of built life around the stress. And also with chronic stress, this is the, really dangerous type of stress, because like I said, our bodies were not created to really hold on to stress. Our bodies were not created to carry stress. And so when we are carrying stress longer than what our bodies were created to, because like I said, with acute stress, and there's just stress in day-to-day life, but it's not a bad stress. It's not a dangerous or hurtful or harmful type of stress. And so when we get into chronic stress, like I said, this is a day in, unrelenting type of stress that just never goes away. It's a stress that is so often that it's been normalized, that it's, you know, you, like I said, you've built your life around this thing. But at the same time, because our bodies were not created to live day in and day out and over long periods of time in stress, that it could begin to wear and tear on our bodies, our minds, and affect all areas of our lives. Okay, so that basically is what was covered in week 2. And so in week 3, which was last week, oh, and I almost forgot. So basically, no, I covered this in week 3. So, and then week 3, I talked about identifying and reducing stressors or triggers. And basically, a stressor is something that causes stress. Stress is our body's response to dealing with demands or threats, but stressors or triggers are things or people that actually causes our bodies to respond in a positive or negative way towards stress. Okay, and so basically, I had said that there are some underlying causes of stress. And most of the reasons why we feel stressed out, it would be a sense of, or a lack of sense of control. That usually when we feel like we can't control something, something is beyond our control or out of our control, that whatever that may be tends to cause stress. Also, a lack of understanding, a lack of information or clarity, or a lack of rest can cause stress, to be honest. You know, when you're not restful, you kind of feel off kilter. You may not think clearly. You may not see things clearly. And so your tolerance for things may be short or quick. And so you may be more susceptible to getting stressed out when you're tired and not rested. You may have more patience when you're rested. Most of the times that is the case. At least for me, I have more patience when I'm rested than when I'm not. So, but there are some underlying issues. And so last week, basically, I talked about, and we really got into good discussion in the chat room. So I may have not covered it in the video, but I want to cover it now because it was such a great group discussion that I just felt like it should be talked about now and shared. So basically, in week 3, I talked about identifying and reducing triggers or stressors. And so I said that, you know, that there are some underlying issues, and we talked about that. And so in my group chat, I had asked my group to list some of their triggers and to categorize them. And so the theory behind listing our stressors, because I think sometimes when we're not aware of things, like, you know, I believe that one of the ways to alleviate, that we can kind of reduce or alleviate stress, would be to be aware of what triggers us. And sometimes just not knowing why you're irritated, why you feel the way you do, or why you do the way, you know, why you feel the way you feel, and why you do the things you do, or why you think the way you think. And a lot of times, you know, stress can be caused in those things, just not knowing why, not knowing what, not knowing how. So basically, I had talked about last week, and we went really in depth in it in my group chat, that I believe that when we know what, when we know why, and we know how, that it equips us better to be able to handle stress or even alleviate it altogether. Okay. And there we talked about different triggers. So we talked about how work or school could be a trigger, how relationships can be a trigger, children could be a trigger, finances can be a trigger, expectations, unrealistic expectations can be a trigger. And so I also talked about, you know, just allowing ourselves the space and the time and to grow, and that when we're so rigid and when we're so inflexible, how that can, you know, cause stress in our lives. And I did even share it with you that several years ago, little while ago when I was, you know, a very stressed out person, how I could see how my personality being, you know, a very rigid and inflexible person, how that caused different stressors in my life. And when I began to learn how to just kind of chill and relax and not be so serious about things or life, when I began to accept, you know, other people as they are, you know, and not expect so much out of them, not demand so much out of them. And even myself, when I, you know, when I kind of took it easy on myself, not expecting so much out of myself, not saying in a bad way, but I really pushed myself to perfection. And you know, we know that nobody's perfect. Perfectionism is not a reality. No one is perfect. And so when I begin to deal with those type of mindsets, unrealistic expectations, perfectionism, and really begin to deal with those things, and it really stress, I really began to see how I responded to different things, but also I began to see how my life began to be stress less. and so those are some things that, you know, like I said, have worked for me. And so I talked about that in week 3. And so I also talked about, you know, ways to identify and even reduce or alleviate stresses that, like I said, when we know what or who stresses us out, when we know what our triggers are, and we ask ourselves, why does our trigger or stressor stress us out or trigger us? And then how, when we start to tap into those things, start to tap into those thoughts and those feelings behind the stress, behind the stressor, that we can kind of start digging deep into that to resolve that, and even, like I said, eliminate it altogether. And I believe that once you identify the source of your stress, you need to determine what type of focus or attention or energy you're going to give it. That everything that comes to us, or every stressor that may pop up in our life, doesn't deserve the same attention. Some things just need to be ignored. Some things need to be quickly addressed. Some things need to be thought about and worked through. So, you know, I talked about not being so quick to respond, not being so quick to react, but take time to step back and to, you know, to look at it from a different perspective. Take time to step back and observe it from a different angle before you choose to put your time, your attention, and your focus into this thing. Like I said, some things just don't require our time, attention, or focus or energy if we give ourselves time before we are so quick to react or respond, okay? And so, like I said, once you find out what it is and how it makes you feel and why it makes you feel that way, then the next step would be to identify, you know, what type of stressor it is. If it's biological, if it's environmental, if it's internal or external. When you know where it's coming from, once you have identified what it is, and you can identify the source of where it's coming from, then you can better, you know, handle it or work through that. You know, when we don't know the source of the stress, when we don't know why we're stressed, when we don't know why it's making us feel this way, or don't know what it is, or, you know, when we don't know those things, you know, we put ourselves in a perpetual cycle of just being stressed out. And like I said, you know, stress over a period of time, unresolved, not dealt with, it gets, you know, it turns into chronic stress, which is not healthy for us, okay? And so I pretty much, you know, talked about in week 3 that once you've dealt with those things, that it will help you to be able to work through those stressors. And also in my chat group, I had asked my tribe to list their top 5 stressors in order from greatest to least. And the reason why I had asked them to do that is because a lot of times, at least for myself, what I have noticed is that, you know, the biggest thing, if I attack the biggest stressor, usually the smaller stressors will either lessen or will just disappear altogether, because stressors are kind of linked to each other. So if you knock out the big head stressor, then the other ones are sure to follow, or you will have less stress to really have to tackle and handle. So for instance, if you were to list 5 stressors, 5 things that stress you out from greatest to least, and finances is your greatest stressor. Well, now that you've identified your biggest stressor, finding ways to work towards alleviating or reducing that stressor can also cause, say for instance, if your job was second on your list, you may be stressed out at work because you're stressed out in your finances. So by alleviating or reducing that financial strain or stress, it can also reduce or alleviate the stress that you may be feeling, at work. So yeah, so I'm not sure if you tried it out. For those of you who were in my chat group last week, and I did post some notes on my Facebook group too. So hopefully you've been incorporating some of those techniques, and I'm just curious of, have you been experiencing less stress since you've been doing those things? Okay. So yeah, so that's pretty much what I covered from week 1 to 3. This week, I would like to talk about symptoms and effects of stress. So basically, I've given you all the information that you need to know as far as what stress is, what causes stress, the underlying issues of stress, what stressors are, common stressors, and how to deal with stressors, how to reduce stressors. I want to talk about the effects of stress, because sometimes I think, especially as single mothers, that we really don't take stress seriously. I think sometimes we may even wear it as a badge of honor for some reason, and not realizing how destructive and how harmful stress can be if it goes unchecked, if it goes untreated, if it goes undealt with. And so today, which is my last day talking about this, stress management for single mothers, I kind of just wanted to give you, a side of stress that we may not hear about all the time, and to kind of really put things into perspective. And I can speak from this because I know both sides, and I talked to you in my other videos about what stress had done to me. Years and years of just living on such a fast pace of life and not really checking my stress, not managing it, just really not paying attention to it. And I wore stress as a badge of honor. So I know how it feels. I felt like the more I had on my plate to do, the busier I was. I felt more accomplished. I felt, more worthy. I just felt more important. I don't know. But that was craziness, to be honest. That was craziness because just years and years and years of just living life like that. Eventually my body began to break down, and I got very ill, and I was dealing with a lot of symptoms and effects of stress, of chronic stress. I didn't know it then. I didn't know it until my body shut down. I didn't know it until I was diagnosed with MS. I didn't know it until I was diagnosed with this degenerative disc disorder. I didn't know until I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I didn't know until, I was in the hospital for weeks at end, and I had to learn how to walk all over again. I didn't know that was, as a result of me not properly dealing with and handling stress in my life. And as a result, my body began to shut down. My body began to, go against me, begin to work against me. And I'm in a better place now. I am healthy, and I am completely whole and healed. And so, my life has changed drastically for how I deal with stress in my life. And not saying that, with this year and the launch of Hope for Single Mothers, and, just a lot of things going on in my life, I'm still busy, but I manage things better now. I don't take on as much as I used to. I'm so in tune with my body. Honestly, I am. Whereas before, I just kind of overrode every signal. Every sign that my body was giving me, I would just push it beyond this limit. I would just push it past this limit. And now I'm wiser. When it's time to sit down and rest, I sit down and rest. When it's time to say no, I say no. You know, I understand. I'm very aware of my limitations. I do not think I'm Superwoman, and I don't try to be Superwoman like I did before. I'm very confident and relaxed in who I am as a person, so I don't have to try to find myself through activities, through things, through accomplishments. So, you know, I'm at a place in my life where I accept things. I approve. I don't sit back and just watch and allow life to happen to me, that I'm making life happen for me. Life is working in my advantage. It's not working to my disadvantage anymore. And so, and it was all about, like I said, just learning, just really perspective. I had to change a lot of perspective. I had to have literally a mind transformation, just being transformed by the renewing of my mind. You know, the scripture says that we have to be renewed by the transformation of our mind, that daily, and it's a daily thing. It's a daily journey that we have to do if we want to live stressless. And I can honestly say that the things that used to stress me out years ago, or even a year ago, it doesn't. You know, I have learned that life is just too short to worry about things, to get myself literally sick over things that, one, I either can't change, or two, that if I just wait, it's going to work itself out, or three, that, you know, I have something to do, you know, I can change it, but worrying and using all that energy and focus in the wrong area, you know, I don't have the, you know, the capacity to change it, even though I can. But because I'm choosing to stress myself out about it, you know, I don't have the mental capacity. I don't have, you know, the emotional capacity, because I'm spending it and I'm stressing myself out and worrying myself, you know, to death. So, and literally, I nearly did that. I nearly stressed myself to the grave. But I had, like I said, I had a mind change. I had to renew my mind. I had to change and tweak some things in my life, and how I did things, and how I managed my stress, how I took care of myself, how I loved myself. You know, I had to change all of those things. And I'm telling you, once I did that, it was a drastic change in my life. Like I said, my stress levels just dropped. You know, I used to have high blood pressure, and we know that high blood pressure is linked to stress. It's highly linked to stress. Heart disease is linked to stress. Cancer, even cancer, is linked to chronic stress. So I'm telling these things to you to just let you know that, you know, it's not a badge of honor to wear. It's something that we really need to look at, something that we really need to start dealing with and managing better if we plan to be here longer, if we plan to live a long, good, healthy life. And I don't know about you, but I plan to, I have at least 60 years left in me, if not more. I plan to live well over 100. So, you know, but I couldn't look forward to that type of life if I was still, like I said, stressed out and just miserable and the way I used to be. So basically, I'm saying all this to say is that you're going to have to change some things. You're going to have to change your mindset. You're going to have to change your attitude, your perspective. You're going to have to change the way that you are living life. You cannot continue to live life stressed out every single day, just anxious about everything, just stressed out about everything, just letting every little thing just stress you out. You cannot do that. The Word of God says for us not to worry about things. That what is worrying about something going to do? It's not going to add a second onto our lives, but it sure enough will take a second. It'll sure enough take a second out of your life. It's not going to add anything, but it will sure enough take away. I've learned that lesson. And so I just choose not to get stressed. Honestly, I just choose not. There's some things that I just choose not to entertain. There's thoughts I choose not to entertain. Not saying they don't come into my mind, but I'm not going to give them that time or that energy or that focus. I'm not going to entertain those thoughts. You know, the Word of God says to cast down those thoughts, to cast down every vain imagination, everything that exalts itself above the knowledge of God. We have the authority, we have the power to cast those things down. And we don't have to entertain those negative thoughts. We don't have to entertain those thoughts that have our mind racing. And like I said, most of the time, you know, what's going on in our mind doesn't even happen. We've thought of the worst case scenario in our mind, and it hasn't even happened yet, or will not happen. And that's just too much time and too much mental energy that we're wasting putting into thoughts that are not even real. They're imagined. They haven't even come to pass. And we're just putting so much time and energy and focus on those things. So we just have to do things better, ladies. So basically, that's all I'm saying. We just have to go about doing things differently, okay? And our stress management is our responsibility. It's our personal responsibility. We can't put that off on anybody else. You know, if you're stressed out, I hate to say this, and I know it may be an ouch to you, but if you're stressed out, it's because you want to be stressed out. It's your fault if you're stressed. Because you have the capacity, you have the ability, you have the power to choose what to give your time, your energy, your focus to. You have that. It's within you. You are not hopeless. You're not helpless. You have that power within you to do that. And so we need to start using our personal power more, especially in the area of stress management, and to just be more in tune with the signals that our body gives, because I'm telling you, our body gives us signals. Those headaches you've been having, those sleepless nights, those digestive issues you've been having, that's stress related. The aches and pains in your body, stress related. I'm here to tell you, it is stress related. So our bodies really do signal us. Our bodies really do tell us what's going on. Now, whether we're going to pay attention to those things or whether we're going to just complete, that's pretty much up to us. But our body does tell us when enough is enough. Okay, and I just want to encourage you, listen to your body. Listen when your body tells you it's time to rest. Listen when your body tells you it's time to cast that care, because it is too much for you to carry by yourself. When your body tells you that you just need to not even entertain it, don't even think about it, just let it go. Listen to your body, okay? So I just want to give you some things about just talking about stress. So I just kind of want to let you know, just in case you did. So when our bodies feel threatened or, you know, is responding to high demand, I just want to share with you what goes on in our bodies, just to kind of give you a clear vision or clear picture of what goes on. Now, this is just normal, you know, acute stress. Like if we have a deadline to meet, or a dog or cat runs out in front of us and we have to hit the brakes to not hit the animal. That fight or flight type of stress, this is what happens. The stress that comes and goes is fleeting. This is not the bad stress per se. So when this happens, our body or our nervous system releases a flood of hormones, including adrenaline and cortisol. And basically, this is our body's way of responding to an emergency, or like I said, a threat or danger or something. Our hearts pound faster, our muscles tighten, our blood pressure goes up, our breath quickens, so we get, you know, those panting type of breathing, and our senses become stronger. Now, this is just that fleeting, acute type of stress. Now, with chronic stress, what I'm talking about today, our body stays in this almost constant. So whereas that acute stress, those symptoms will come and go. You know, with chronic stress, our bodies can't tell the difference between fight or flight or, you know, it can't tell the difference between acute and chronic stress. So, if you tend to get stressed out on a day-to-day, I mean, like all the time, just stressed all the time. No rest for your mind, no rest for your body. You just stressed out all the time. Your body may be in this state all the time. And then can you imagine your body being in that heightened state where your blood pressure is up, your heart is pounding, you know, your muscles are tightening, your breath is, you know, quicker, your senses are sharper. So basically your body is just in overload on a day-to-day basis. Can you imagine after a period of time what begins to happen to your body if it's left in that state over a period of time? It's going to start to deteriorate. It's going to start to shut down. Okay, so like I said, I know this is a serious conversation, and I hope it is serious. I hope you're taking me seriously, because I want you to understand the effects, the dangerous and destructive effects of stress. It is dangerous for our bodies to constantly live in stress. It is dangerous for us to constantly, it's not healthy. It is not healthy, okay? So I'm telling you these things so that you, like I said, can take me seriously. Depression, anxiety, autoimmune diseases, which I had told you about, skin conditions like eczema, weight problems, increase and decrease in weight, even reproductive issues, and thinking and memory problems. These are all signs of stress overload. So these are ways that our body is affected by chronic stress. And then, like I said, it's not good, okay? So these are just some symptoms there. So if you have been experiencing some of these symptoms, like I said, now's the time to start checking on these things. Now's the time to start checking on stress management, not allowing these things to go any longer, okay? Because it may not be serious today, but if you allow your body to continue along this line on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year basis over time, you're going to be dealing with some serious issues that you could have prevented if you would have just learned how to manage your stress more effectively, okay? So yeah, so basically those are, like I said, and there's so many symptoms here of stress overload. So if you find yourself, like I said, memory problems, if you have a hard time focusing or concentrating, poor judgment, being pessimistic, only seeing the negative, anxious or racing thoughts, your mind is just running away with itself, emotional symptoms, you're just, you know, and I can attest to this, excuse me, I can attest to a time that, you know, when I was just so stressed out and I was just crying uncontrollably, couldn't stop crying. I was just super, excuse me, sensitive. And if anybody knows me, I'm not a very emotional type of person. So if you were to see me crying all the time and see me just super sensitive, I mean, like just super, super sensitive, you would know, okay, what's going on? Something's up, because that is not your normal personality. You know, you just kind of out of character. Depression, just unhappy, miserable, agitated, anxious, moody, irritable, angry all the time. If you're lonely and isolated, you have mental or emotional health problems, you know, aches and pains, diarrhea, constipation, nausea, dizziness, chest pain, rapid heart rate, loss, frequent colds or flu. Now, for me, like I said, I'm having sinus issues, but it even affects your immune system. If you are living in chronic stress, it really starts to tear down and break down your immune system. So it's, you know, you're more susceptible to illnesses and ailments and colds and flus and stuff. You eat more or less. You start to withdraw. And those are some symptoms of depression and anxiety as well. You procrastinate. God forbid you start using alcohol, cigarettes, or drugs. You start biting your nails, pacing back and forth, just, you know, nervous twitches or habits. So those are some symptoms of long-term chronic stress. And like I said, if you could check off one or two, or hopefully not more than 1 and 2 of these things. But if so, hey, you know, at least you're more aware today than you were, you know, before this video. If you can, you know, relate to some of these signs, then now is the time to start dealing with these things head on. Now is not the time to ignore it, to act like it's not there, or even to normalize it. And if it has become normal to you, I just want to let you know it's not normal. Those symptoms that I had just described, those are not normal symptoms. Your body should not be reacting or responding that way. And if it is, it's time to address these things, okay? So that you can be healthy, so that you can live a healthy and just vibrant life, okay? And so, you know, I'm going to talk to you about some ways that you can, you know, help yourself deal with stress better. And a couple of videos ago, I talked about, excuse me, your support system and how important it is to have a strong support system. And that's even important in the area of stress management. When your support system is thin, you're kind of limiting yourself to ways, you know, or options of help. When it's just you carrying the load all by yourself, you don't have an outlet. You don't have anywhere to go when things get kind of heavy because you're carrying it all. But if you have a strong support system, you know, and I said you have, you know, different people in your life to serve a different purpose. So everybody's support system looks differently, and everybody that has a support, people in their support system serve different purposes, okay? So, but the point of it is to have a support system, to have people in your life that can help you, that you don't have to carry the load. One of the number one things as far as with stress is, like I said, when you are carrying it all by yourself, when you're doing it all by yourself, when you don't have anyone to help you, to relieve you, to talk to vent to, you know, there's some, especially as single mothers, because like I said, we carry so much. We have so many responsibilities, and it's so easy to think that you can do it on your own. It's so easy to think that you're Superwoman, but the fact of the matter is that you're not. You're not Superwoman. You were not meant to do it by yourself. That it's important to, you know, like I said, create a strong support system to where you have backups, that when in times of when life comes at you, and you're dealing with some stressors, that you don't have to take it on all by yourself, that you have your support system there to help you, to walk you through that, to take the load off and to relieve you of some things, okay? And also I said another way is to help or reduce stressors or stress in your life would be to kind of have a gauge of your sense of control. So basically, studies have shown that people who are more confident about themselves and their ability to influence, you know, people or events, they have a better chance of, you know, working through stress more healthy than a person who doesn't. So if you suffer from low self-esteem, or you have a low self-image or negative self-image about yourself, you're more than likely to be more stressed than the average, you know, than a person who has, like I said, a positive self-esteem, or they have confidence about themselves, okay? So, you know, it's all about, you know, who you are, how you see yourself, and where you see yourself. And I talked about the area of control a couple of weeks ago. I talked about how when, you know, we may not be able to control people, we may not be able to control certain events, but we can control us. And I think that is just enough within itself. Just learning how to control ourselves, learning how to control our thoughts, learning how to control our words, learning how to control how we respond, learning how to control what we allow, what we don't allow, learning how to control what comes next. That those are the things that we do have control over, and to practice that. And I think, and I believe, I know for myself, especially when I started to incorporate these things in my own life, when I began to control my thoughts, when I can begin to control my words, when I begin to control my sphere of control, I saw, you know, things, like I said, that used to stress me out just don't stress me out anymore. You know, people that used to stress me out do not stress me out anymore, because I realize I cannot control people, but I can control how I respond to people. So just that within itself can alleviate or even reduce stress within itself, okay? And your attitude and your outlook about things. Like I said, if you're always thinking negatively about things, if you're always entertaining negative thoughts, you know, that can control level, you know, stressors in your life. So if you want to alleviate or reduce stress in your life, you know, change your perception of how you're looking at your life. If you think your life stinks, it's just a dump. It's never going to get better. It's just work. You know, this is how it is. This is how it's always been. This is how it's going to be. That's not, that's not a very positive outlook on your life. And yes, you're right. If you keep entertaining those thoughts, if you keep speaking those words, if you keep looking at your life as never going to get better, then you're right. It is never going to get better. But if you change the way you think, if you change the words that come out of your mouth and you speak life, you speak positive things, and even how you respond to things, then, you know, our lives are a result of the thoughts we have thought and the words we have spoken and the things that we have done. It is. So we can't be, you know, wondering why we're here, especially if it's not a good place, because you're here because you put yourself there. You put yourself there by your thoughts, your words, and your actions. But you can change that. None of that is in stone. None of that is written in stone. One of the awesome things about that, or, you know, how our attitude and our outlook and our realm of control, we can change it at any given moment. At any given moment, you can change your mind. At any given moment, you can change how you talk. At any given moment, you can change how you react or you respond. That may take some practice, but if you keep at it, believe me, you'll become a pro in no time, okay? And I'm only telling you things out of personal experience. I will not tell you something that does not work, but I'm telling you what works. You just have to implement these things and begin to apply them on a daily basis, okay? And our ability to deal with our emotions. Now, I know I said that I'm not an emotional type of person, but I'm very in tune with my emotions. So it's not like I don't feel. It's not like I'm unaware of how I feel. I'm very in tune with how I feel. I'm very aware of what I feel. I just don't allow my emotions to control me like I used to. So whereas before I was the opposite, I was the extreme. I was an emotional wreck at one point in my life, years ago. I was just an emotional wreck. Whatever happened, I would just allow my emotions to get the best of me. I would just, you know, overreact to stuff. And it was just exhausting, I'm telling you. If you would let your emotions control you, oh my gosh, you would be an exhausted person. And I just got tired. I got tired of my emotions controlling me. I got tired of being exhausted and tired. And so I learned how to take control of my emotions. Yes, we do have emotions. God has given us emotions for a reason and a purpose, but He has not given us our emotions to have us. We have control. We have power over our emotions. We have the power to determine how long we're going to feel a kind of way, how long, you know, we're going to do something. We have that control. We have that power. You know, if we're sad, you know, and I understand that, you know, there are different types of depression. There are depression that is clinical, where it has to do with, you know, your hormones and your biological makeup. I'm talking about things that is within our control. That basically is within our thinking, it's within our speaking, it's within our seeing, it's within our doing. Those are the things that we have control over, and that's what I'm talking about, okay? So we have control over our emotions. We have control how we feel, how long we feel. We have control over if we're going to feel this way at all, you know? And that's one of the things I was talking about as far as, you know, determining what you're going to give your time, attention, energy, and focus to. You can determine that. You really can. So that is the same way with our emotions. The ability to control our emotions, not have our emotions control us. I'm telling you, that's like almost half of the stress right there. Half of the stress, because I'm telling you, if you allow, your emotions will take you places. If you allow, then you will look and be like, how in the world did I get here? You will blank out if you don't have control over your emotions. And when you come to, you will find yourself in a place that you never thought you would be because of not having control over your emotions. And, you know, So that's a very key thing that I would like for you to think about, okay? Gaining control over your emotions, okay? Because you have the power. You have the personal power, okay? And also last week I talked about how just being aware. And sometimes when we don't know how, when we don't know why, that causes stress within itself. But just being aware, when you're aware, you know, and if you know that Aunt Susie is a trigger or is a stressor, being aware of that will help you to plan ahead and to prepare ahead and give you the knowledge that you need to deal with Aunt Susie. There's some family members that are triggers and we just can't get rid of them. We may have to create boundaries, you know, we may have to learn, but like I said, if you don't know that, if you don't know if that person is your trigger, if you don't know what it is about that person that triggers you, you don't know why that person makes you feel the way you feel, or why do you get so irritated and angry when you're around that person. When you don't know that, that person will continue to be a constant trigger, a constant stressor. But when you get the knowledge about that, when you get the knowledge about why, the what, the why, and the how, then you'll be better prepared and equipped to deal with that. And that won't be a stressor. Like I said, a lot of times when we're dealing with stress, it's because we feel a sense of that we're not in control, that it just has to, you know, we just allow anything to come at us. We just allow anything to happen to us. And that's not the case. That is not the case. Like I said, we're never helpless. We're never hopeless, that we have control. We have personal control. We have personal responsibility. Okay. So those are some things that you can kind of look out to in reducing and learning how to manage your stress properly. Also, you know, exercising, you know, helps to alleviate stress. It really does. I don't know how many of you like go into house cleaning mode when you're stressed, you know, but it works. It does, you know, so activity helps. You know, exercise, good activity, dancing, whatever, cleaning the house, what, you know, those things help to alleviate stress. So those are some things that we can do. Connecting with other people, believe it or not, talking things out. It's not good to bottle things up. And I used to be a stuffer. All my life, I think, I just used to be a stuffer. Just stuff. And you know what? That is not good. So it helps to be able to connect with people, to be able to find someone to talk to and confide in, to get the things off your chest so that you don't have to stuff those things, because unresolved or stuffed emotions really internally affects our body. It really does, okay? And so it's really not healthy, okay? So finding people to connect to, I mean, you're here. You have hope for single mothers, okay? So you've already found your tribe. You've already found your community to connect with. Use this community for what it was put in place to provide, okay? This is your support. This is, you know, a part of your support system. This is a part of your help. I've told you, you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to do a single mother journey alone, okay? Learn to relax. Oh, yes. And Self-Care Saturday, if you tune into my Self-Care Saturday video, Self-Care Saturday will help you to unwind and to de-stress, okay? So just find things that you enjoy doing that relaxes you, that you don't, you know, that helps you to kind of not think, that you can kind of just, for however long you need to until you find yourself refreshed, that you can just kind of get away, you know, that you can kind of just unwind and just settle down and relax, okay? That relaxation is key with stress management. I'm telling you, you have to, you know, you have to learn how to relax. I had to, you know, yoga, exercise, breathing, just simply inhaling and exhaling sometimes just helps calm you down, get you centered, okay? Just music. I know for myself, I enjoy listening to, you know, certain music, spa music, classical music. I like praise and worship too, you know, so find that that song that gets you, like I said, gets you to that place that centers you and gets you, you know, yeah, okay. And everybody, you know, has different types of things. But like I said, the most important thing is engage into your senses, whatever that is. Now, I know taste is a sense, but we don't want to get, you know, start eating and become stress eaters. Okay, so watch that eating thing. Okay, every now and again, a little bit of ice cream or cookies or something might make you feel better, but that should not be your go-to every time, because like I said, that can get to be extremely, before you know it, now you're dealing with another problem or issue. And now you're stressed because you're overweight and you've gained 10 pounds because every time you get stressed, you've been going to the cookies and ice cream. So just watch that, okay? And also, like I said, eating healthy, it really does. Like I said, our body responds positively how we treat it. If you do your body good, your body will do you good. So just learn how to just, you know, you don't have to be the healthiest eater. You don't have to go vegan or vegetarian, but just make sure you monitor the things that you put into your body, and that you're eating properly and you're giving your body those nutrients that it needs so that it can treat you good. It can treat you well, okay? Your omega-3 fatty acids, your high quality proteins, vegetables and fruits, those type of things are rich in nutrients and will help you, especially if you're dealing with some stress, you know. It will help you to be able to cope with life's ups and downs, okay? And then last but not least, rest. Oh my goodness, I cannot speak on rest enough. I am telling you, I think also, you know, lack of rest is another big cause of stress. Our bodies need rest. We are not the Energizer Bunny. We were not created to go on and on and on and on and on and on and on without rest. We need rest. And especially as single mothers, it is absolutely essential that we get rest. How we find it, we may have to be creative, especially if we have little ones, but you got to get your rest, okay? So make sure, I am typically an 8-hour person. However, I really haven't seen 8 hours too much, because literally when I get off of my day job, I'm working my night job, I'm doing this. And so I literally have 2 jobs on top of everything else that I'm doing. So I try to get as much rest as I can get. Now, sleep and rest are 2 different things. You can lay down, close your eyes, and think you're getting some sleep. And if you've been tossing and turning all night long, if your mind has been going on like all night long, you're not resting. You've been getting up and going back and forth to the bathroom, you're not getting any rest, okay? So rest is when our minds are shut down and our bodies are completely relaxed, and it can begin to repair itself. And that's another reason why it's important to get rest, because it's when we rest, it's when our bodies are in rested state that it begins to repair itself. Our bodies were created to repair itself. However, when we stress it out, when we don't get the rest that we need, when we don't properly deal and manage stress in our life, you know, we're depriving our body of its purpose. You know, like I said, our bodies were created to repair itself, okay? But if we're stressed out all the time, we're not getting enough of rest, our bodies cannot repair itself the way it was created to do so, okay? So that's another reason why rest is so very important. It's good for our mood, it's good for the repairing of our bodies and to stay healthy. It's so important that we get the rest that we need. And like I said, I understand when you have the little ones, rest might be far in between, or but just try to get it. You know, if you have little ones down, put the babies down for a nap so that you can get some sleep if that's what you have to do. You know, put them to sleep early, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, so that you can have the rest of the night to get your rest that you need. You cannot go off of, you know, just 2, 3, 4, 5 hours worth of sleep every day. You can't do it. At least if you're not able to give your body 8 hours, I think now studies have shown 9 hours is like optimum sleep, you know, rest time for our bodies. But like I said, I'm averaging about, oh my goodness. I would say I'm kind of averaging about 6 hours. I'm averaging about 6 hours. I usually go to sleep by like 12 and I wake up about 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'm averaging about 6, 7 hours. Like I said, I rarely get 8. If I do, it's going to be on the weekend, but more than likely I'm not going to get 8 hours of sleep during the week while I'm working. Because like I said, after I do my day job, I come home and I do ministry and I do what I love. I do my passion here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I hope that you were blessed by what was discussed. I hope that I gave you some things that you can chew on and really think about and really really start to put into place about. I hope you really get serious. I hope this video really encouraged you and motivated you to get serious about stress and stress management. And I hope you found some things, some techniques that you can begin to incorporate to manage your stress properly. Like I said, I want you here a long time. And I know your kids want you here a long time too. And it comes, it starts with stress management. I know you want to live your best life ever. And it comes, you know, it starts with stress management. It does, you know. I am living such a different kind of life than I did years ago. And I can tell you that stress management has, if it has not been the most important thing or the most effective thing in my life, it's close to it. And so, like I said, I'm not telling you something that I read, even though I have done some studies. I have read some material, but I'm telling you from personal experience. I have been stressed to the max, sick, driving myself literally into the grave. And I'm on the other side of that, living a happy, an abundant, stress-free life. And I'm not saying that there's not things that I go through. I've been through so much. If you only knew the things that I've been through just these couple of months, there's just a month alone. But I have chosen not to allow those things to get the best of me. I have chosen, you know, what I'm going to give my energy, my time, my focus to, and what I'm not going to do. And that's it. It's not that my life is perfect. It's just that I have a different perspective about my life and what I'm going to allow in my life and how much control I'm going to allow outside forces to have in my life. That's all it is. That's all it is. Like I said, we have the personal control and responsibility, but we have to put it to use. We have to put it to practice, and we have to learn how to control, you know, what we can. That's within our sphere and realm of control. We have to learn how we control our responses. We have to learn how to control, you know, what we allow and what we don't allow. There's so many things that I allowed in my life years ago when I was so stressed out and so sick that I just will not tolerate. Absolutely not now. I just won't do it, you know. And we can control what happens next. We certainly can. Okay. So I just want to leave you. I thank you so much for following me these last 4 weeks. It's been an awesome series, to be honest. And I'm just really looking forward to joining my Hope for Single Mothers Facebook group and in our chat. And we're going to pick this conversation up later on today. I just want to thank you, like I said, for joining me. And hopefully I believe that you've been blessed. And I just want to thank you for tuning in. Okay. So if you are here via Hope for Single Mothers YouTube channel, once again, if you're joining me, or if you joined me mid through, if you can go ahead and click that subscribe button. Hopefully all this talking I've been doing, you've decided to subscribe, and I really do appreciate your support. Also click that bell so that when I upload a new video, you will be notified, okay? Well, thank you so much. I thank you for joining me, and I appreciate your time that you took out to watch this video so that you could get the help and the support and the information that you need to live your best life, okay? I will check you out on Self-Care Saturday, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, okay? I leave you with love, peace, and blessings. Have an awesome week, okay? Bye-bye.